Welcome to Documentary First, an inside look at a first-time filmmaker's journey. I am your host, Josh Lindsay from the Movie Proposal Podcast. And with us is, as always, our first-time filmmaker, Christian Taylor.
Hey there, Josh Lindsay. How are you?
Christian Taylor. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Before we start recording, it sounded like you have a full house, and you had people interrupting you in your full house, so was I.
Yes. Yeah, I have Hunter moved on from his old life now into my life. He is back home and living here. And as you may or may not know, Hunter was the one that started this whole crazy story 5 years ago. And he now has graduated from college and is looking for a job. He was going to go back into the Army or the Navy, and all that got put on hold with COVID. So he has no job and is living at home. So he may be joining us on a podcast next week.
All right. And with us again, as always, is our trusty dusty research extraordinaire, button-pushing guy, Jason Rugg.
Hey, Josh.
How's it going, Jason?
Good. I'm glad that you're back this week, so I don't have to play you.
Oh, good. That's right. I forgot. I missed a week. I'm sure you did a fantastic job, but glad to be back. And we've been on a roll of having guests all the way from France. Our Flo and Jenny. Welcome, Flo and Jenny.
Hi.
Hello.
So it is early afternoon in the United States, but it is late evening in France. Yes,
8 o'clock.
Oui.
Yeah.
But as
today,
you can see the sun behind them. And I do want to point out, if nobody has ever been to France in the summer, it usually stays light until almost midnight, like something. And
Really?
It's very discombobulating because you don't start getting hungry or ready for dinner. And all of a sudden you realize it's 10 or 11 at night. That's why they eat so late in the summer.
True.
It's true.
Very interesting. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys before we jump into that. Christian, what are some updates on The Girl Who Wore Freedom?
Well, it's been a busy week in Girl Who Wore Freedom land, and it filled with a lot of highs and lows as usual. I'm going to start with the lows. I don't know if we had talked the last time, but did I tell you about the Deville American Film Festival in Normandy? So this was one I was really hoping for. It's a big film festival in Normandy, but closer to Le Havre and Caen. And it is a prestigious film festival. They usually only take 100 films, so I thought it was going to be very competitive. But we had the mayor of Saint-Marie-du-Mont write a letter on our behalf, as well as the mayor of Carentan, as well as the French General Council from here in the Midwest. And so all of these people had written on our behalf, and I thought, well, maybe we would have a chance, and we did not get in. And only 14 films did this time. And that has been a recurring theme. If film festivals are going to have a fest, they are cutting their acceptances dramatically. So that was really heartbreaking for me because I felt like that would have been the best place for us to have our world premiere. That was going to be in September. And then we found out today that we did not get into the Chicago Film Festival, which was really heartbreaking. And I actually got really mad about that one. That was the first one that really made me mad because I am in this community. I've supported this community. Normally they have a Chicago focused, part of the fest. But again, they usually have 150 films, and this year they cut it down to 50. And so in that instance, film festivals want prestigious films that maybe are going to get into the Oscars, and they want star films that drive, attendance. And so that was super disappointing.
So I'm sorry to hear that. Are they actually having a film festival where people will screen these films?
We don't know. Deville is in France. I mean, I think things are far better in France than they are here in the United States. So I think they're going to try it. Maybe because of that, they only have 14 theaters. I don't know. Or the way that their schedule works, if they're having to spread everybody out, they can only show less films. I don't know. They don't give you any information. As far as Chicago goes, they haven't decided what they're going to do, whether it's going to be in person or a hybrid or online. So there's just no way to know that
Sure.
at this point.
Well, the film marches on. What else is happening? What's on the good news side?
The good news is that we did get accepted into another film festival, which I'm actually super excited about. So it was the International Sound and Film Music Festival, and it is in Pula, Croatia, and it is, a really reputable film festival, particularly for scores. And we got nominated for the best original score for the documentary category. But then we won.
What?
We won. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. We won the best original score category. So that was crazy because guess who we did have a tie there. And our tie was with American Factory. And I don't know if you guys have heard of American Factory. It's on Netflix, but it was the first film produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. So it basically was a Hollywood film in a sense and had a lot of star power behind it. And it's and the film that won the best original score for a feature was Parasite.
Oh, wow.
So, there are some incredible scores in those films, and they were submitted a long time ago, because they were just very small and nothing films when they first started, just like us. So they submitted to everything. So we were in competition with these big Hollywood films, and and we won. So
do you have any idea how many people screened the films?
I have no idea how many people screened them. I don't have any idea how many people entered. I really don't know, but I know.
No, it was a festival, so they had were there audiences that come?
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It was the same thing as the Indie Fan Film Fest where we won the best feature documentary. Oh, I don't think I announced that either yet.
Whoa!
Yeah, so the Central States Indie Fan Film Fest is a younger fest, and we won for Best Feature Documentary there. I don't think I was supposed to announce those yet, but anyway, they're out. And we will on social media eventually. So far of the festivals that we've been accepted to 3. The Central States Indie Fan Film Fest, the International Sound and Music Film Music Festival, and the Chagrin Documentary Festival in Chagrin Falls, Ohio.
What?
So we've been accepted into 3 film festivals, and we've won 2 awards so far, although the first 2 fests have not had any fests at all. They've just canceled them and given out the awards and the acceptances. And then the Chagrin Doc Fest is not until October. And we aren't supposed to release it because they haven't released it yet. But by the time this airs, they will be announcing it. So I feel safe saying that. So that's super exciting because it's a really well-known documentary film festival. And, we'll have to see what our chances are at that fest of getting Best Documentary Feature. So that was all the exciting news. And then we have a distribution offer on the table that we're considering. And so
this is a new one since 2 podcasts ago, yes?
Well, it's not a new one. It is one we are still diving into. So that's right. I remember I gave you the sheet and you looked at it. It was 22 pages. I printed it off. So this is it. And I have been going through this with a tooth and comb. And I got to tell you, the filmmaking part of it, as hard as it was a piece of cake compared to figuring out the distribution deal. So anyway, as far as things go with the film, I'm continuing to learn a lot. I think things are very positive, and, we're moving forward. Our bulk of the responses that we're supposed to be getting for our September film festivals are going to be coming in the next 2 weeks. So probably a lot of rejections if I had to guess, but maybe.
Which is completely normal.
It is normal. It's so painful though. Hopefully there'll be at least one acceptance in the.
Yeah, you only need one good one.
Yeah, true. So anyway, so that's the updates for the film.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears and let's leave the United States. Let's go over to France. So Flo and Jenny, we're excited to have you. So first of all, how is or how are things in France?
It's like everywhere, I guess. With the COVID-19, we have to be careful. We things are different. Of course, we're wearing masks when we're going outside, when we're going in different shops, and we try to keep social distance. But things are different because the border with England, with America are closed. So we don't have any American tourists here, which is very strange to be in Normandy during the summer and have no American tourists talking, but we have a lot of people from Netherlands, from Belgium, from Germany coming. So it's a different type of tourism. But for like guides like me, the activity is very low because Europeans don't really book tour, like guided tour. So, except that, life is okay. We have a lot of time to do research. We have a lot of time to be together and going around. So I would say that it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to just to back up a little bit. Flo and Jenny are Flo and Jenny Plana, and they are here because Flo was in our film. He's one of the cornerstones of our film. Flo, when we met, I've learned so much from Flo over the last 3 years that it really is mind-blowing. He's one of the most special people that I've ever met. He is incredibly gifted and very intelligent, but he's very well studied in history, particularly World War II history, and specifically in the area of Normandy. And but the thing I love about Flo, and one of the reasons I wanted to have he and Jenny on the podcast, I wanted everybody to get to know them both a little better. But I also, Flo has, I think his strongest suit are his people skills, honestly, and his incredible respect that he has for people, and in particular, older people. His elders, be they veterans or older French people in his own country. I think he learned a long time ago that there is much to learn, and their stories are special. And I watched how he treated every single veteran that he interviewed with such respect that it just changed the way that I thought not only about veterans, but about older people. And I really wanted him to come on and talk a little bit about that. But before we get to that, I want to learn, our audience to learn a little bit more about Flo. And Flo, I'd love for you to talk about how you came into our project. Then
Okay.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you. Then talk to us. We're going to move then into your favorite stories, one of your favorite stories, World War II stories in Normandy, how Jenny came into the picture. And then you can talk to us a little bit about how to talk to veterans, the best way to talk to them.
So I'm going to try to make it not too long because, when I'm starting to talk, it's hard for me to make a long story short. But so I already forget your first question.
Okay,
But
the first question is, how did you and I meet? How did you end up being a part of this film?
So as you know, I went in 2014 to the United States. I just finished my college and master degree, and I wanted to take a gap year, but I wanted to do something, I would say important for me, but as well for the society. I wanted to give a chance, to record and share the stories of World War II veterans that fought in Normandy and in Europe in general. And so I went to the United States. I bought a camper on Craigslist, and very cheap for $2,500. And I just went all around the U.S. Meeting and recording World War II veterans. I wanted to capture their story before, they were leaving us. And back in 2000, I don't remember if it was, I think it's 2018. It's like we know each other for a long time, but I think it was 2018 that there Michel Coupé that told me about you, that you were doing a project about, the French perspective, and as well like the American and Allied invasion in Normandy on June 6, 1944. And he wanted to know how the French were remembering the people that served and liberate their country. And he thought maybe that would be a good story to talk about this kid who was living in his camper, sleeping on Walmart parking lot, to actually meet, thanks, and record the veterans that fought for his freedom. So I think there were a link between what you were looking for and what I was doing. So I remember we've met in Chicago, and you came with your crew. That was kind of impressive because I remember, all the team with a massive camera and stuff. And I just like, I was a student, so I didn't have a lot of money when I went to the US. So I bought a very cheap camera, very small, in the tripod with a small mic. And you had an audio guy with like 3 mics, with tripods and stuff. And you had like Corey that came with a massive camera, and they were like, I was just impressed. And so we stopped, first of all, in Indiana. We visited John, and afterward we went to Wisconsin to visit C.O. Bauer. And I think there was both were very special meetings, but we had, I would say, more time with C.O., which was great because he's a talker and he was able to talk about his story. But what was the most interesting for you and I is how he felt when he was in combat, about, all his experience as a young man, serving, 1,000 miles from home, for a country never been before, which was my country. So we had a double connection. And he went through Normandy. He actually fought, in the eastern part of France near Metz, where he was wounded in November 1944. And so that's how it started, like together, like just going around the U.S., recording my story of me recording veterans. I know it's kind of weird, but I was recording veterans and you were filming me recording the veterans, and you were asking them questions about their experience and how they felt about France. And I would say that C.O. and John felt pretty appreciated, the fact that they were not forgotten. And you see, I can be long, and so that was how we met. And second question, I know afterward it's.
Yeah, let me just kind of join in with what you're saying. Flo, I was told by Veterans Back to Normandy, he was volunteering with Veterans Back to Normandy, and Michelle Coupé, my co-producer, said, he's in town interviewing these veterans, you really need to meet them. And I felt like Flo was the poster boy for my point. And my point was how much French people love the veterans and want to honor and respect them. So here's a young man who had graduated from, college, studied history, and he had saved up money to come to the United States in the off season. He didn't have very much money. He really didn't know where he was going to sleep or what he was going to do. And he did buy this camper. He painted, "Do you know a World War II veteran?" on his camper, and he just started driving around. And he would sleep in Walmart parking lots and relied on the goodness of people and people sharing stories and making connections. And I just thought that is the quintessential example of what I met when I went in Normandy. People would spend their disposable time and their money doing whatever they could to honor the men that liberated their country. And when I just first heard about Flo, that was all I was going to do, was just record him doing his thing. But it became much more than that as I watched how he talked with these veterans and got them to open up. And I don't even know if I've told Flo this, but what I witnessed was Flo has studied their units in detail, in minute detail. He knows the units that landed. He knows where they went. He's been to the places. Sometimes he'd meet the veterans who've never been back after they were in this place, and Flo can tell them about that place. So what happened is, as Flo would talk about what he knew about where they were and what their unit did, all of a sudden I watched the veteran realize or feel like they were talking to another comrade in arms, another person that had walked in their shoes and been to their place and understood what their unit did. And so the veteran then would, like a flower, as I watched, would just open up and begin to tell Flo things that most people would never hear because they wouldn't know the questions to ask. Mm-hmm. And so as I watched Flo do that, not only did I see a Frenchman who was, giving up and doing all these things, I saw how important it was when you genuinely cared about a person and you would dive into what was important to them, how you would treat someone with respect, how you would engage them in conversation, and how you'd just be more interested than just trying to get something that you want for your purpose or make yourself feel better by saying thank you or spending 2 minutes. Flo's interviews would be hours. They
were okay to talk with me.
They were okay to talk with him, but usually they were.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right most of the time. And I know we're like going a little bit further into your question, but I think if you talk with a veteran and you have the intention of recording a story, just don't go there and hoping that he's just going to open up with you. And there are basics books, and for example, I just brought one here. Like if you meet a veteran of the 29th division, you can have a book like that. It's the historical book of the 29th division, and inside you have a lot of information. You have pictures. There are a couple inaccuracy, of course. They're always like nothing is perfect, especially it was made right after the war. But you have maps. So if you're talking to a veteran and he's telling you like which unit he was in, you can actually refresh his memory by showing him maps, giving him names of commanding officers, maybe that he remembered, stuff like that. And it's going to refresh his memory. But I've seen too many people just hoping to have an amazing interview by just going there and ask basic questions. The veteran's going to feel it, that you don't know about his unit. You don't know the place he's talking about. And you're going to slowly but surely close the interview. You're going to feel it, that you're going to ask question, his answer going to be more and more brief, and that it's the end. And if you just ask question and he knows that you talk the same language. Of course, as a Vietnam veteran told me, you don't know how it smells. It's true. I never been in combat, and I don't know the smell of the fresh blood from a friend that have been wounded in action next to you or that have been killed. But I can know the place. I can know the units. I can talk a little bit about the language, and maybe knowing this language, the veteran gonna be able to describe about that day where he lost his friend. About that day where he went through something that it's super hard to talk about, because he feel that even if I don't know the smell, I can a little bit understand more that if I didn't do any research about his unit, for example. But it's just one little thing.
So speaking about the veterans, you are answering a little bit of my question down the road, but now we've gotten into the 29th Division. And what I love, Flo and Jenny are tour operators. They have a company called
World War II Veterans Memories. That was the name of the project, when we created it. I created it a long time ago. I just created a Facebook page. I'm like, World War II Veterans Memories. And because people know us now through that name in different projects, we decided to create a company and keep the name.
Yeah, so my family hired Flo and Jenny when we went there, I guess, last year in 2019. And he told us some powerful stories standing on Omaha Beach. And I know it's one of your favorite stories. So tell us, and this story actually led you to meet Jenny. So first start with this story and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So, again, long story short, I have a lot of different interests about different units, about different people, but very close by, about 15 minutes from here, we have Omaha Beach, where a lot of men, landing on D-Day, mainly part of the 29th Infantry Division and the 1st Infantry Division. And since I'm a young, kid, I know about the Bedford Boys. And those men were from a small town in Bedford, Virginia, and I will let Jenny talk more about it. But this is, what actually led me to go there. So I don't want to say too much, but because I would like Jenny to talk about it. But my interest was, I know about Omaha Beach. I know about the place. I've seen the bunkers. I can visualize the guns. I can see the beach obstacles. I can imagine the landing craft, the man, getting out of those landing craft and being killed on the beach. But there one place where actually 19 young men from one company got killed, Bedford, Virginia. And I just wanted to go there to see where they grew up. A lot of people are coming to Normandy to see where the battle took place. But me, I wanted to go to Bedford, Virginia to see the place where they grew up, where they have a normal youth, with their friends, playing football, maybe baseball, going camping on the Blue Ridge Mountain, all those things. I wanted to see where they grew up. And maybe Jenny can tell you a little bit more about the Bedford boys because she's from there. So can you maybe tell us more about,
He's gonna make me talk now.
Yeah.
So I'm from Bedford, Virginia. And as Flo said, there were 19 young men from Company A that were killed on the beach and one other from Company F. So it's 20 in total on D-Day, and it's the highest per capita loss than any other town in the United States. So the town felt it, I would say, dramatically, and even to this day, like you can still feel in Bedford the loss. It affected, I would say, the town itself. And so there in Bedford is the National D-Day Memorial, and I was working there for over 7 years. Yeah, long time before Flo decided to show up one day.
With my camper.
Yeah, with his camper. And one of the volunteers Bill came in, and he's like, you have to come out here and meet this crazy French guy. He's amazing. He's going all around the United States. You have to come see his camper. And it was just like a 10-minute, really quick meeting. But Flo was like, let's keep in touch professionally. It's like, okay.
I have already some intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, you can help me get in touch with veterans. I was like, sure, I can help. That's great.
But she added me on Facebook. So for me, that was a sign. Like, yeah. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Okay, so that was 1 year you met. You learned there was this National D-Day Memorial there. You didn't even know about that.
I didn't even know about that. I went to Bedford. It was late. I remember there was a beautiful evening, probably like 7 p.m. No, maybe 6. I don't know, 6 or 7. And I saw a yard sale, and I was like, yard sale, yeah, maybe I'm going to find something super cool. And that was just in front of the gas station near the highway before you cross the bridge. And there was that house. And is that the yard sale? Wow. I was like, do you have anything linked to World War II? And she was like, oh, let me think. I think I've got something because I put my shoes in a box and their date. And she came back, and there was a box that was used by the medical corps to put, like, how do you call the plasma, when someone is wounded in action and is losing a lot of blood, you put plasma. And that was where he was putting his shoes, and that was 1943. And he was like, okay, how much do you want for it? And he just gave it to me because he saw my camper, the signature. So I was like, oh, cool. He was like, are you here to see the National D-Day Memorial? Like, what are you talking about? The National D-Day Memorial behind you. And I just turned, and I saw the massive hill with the big monument on the top. And I was like, wow, I had no clue about it. And the day after, so I spent the night at Walmart. Very nice, very quiet and clean. And I spent the night at Walmart, and the day after I met Jenny, by coincidence. And actually, I'm going to go on. You put me in touch with a veteran by the name of Hayden Furrow. He was in the 8th Infantry Division. For those who don't know, the unit landed on July the 4th, 1944, which is kind of a symbolic day in the United States. As they landed in Normandy on July the 4th, and Hayden Furrow, he gave me his contact info, and I called him, but I was like, I was supposed to leave because on May the 8th, important thing going on in Washington, D.C., the 70th anniversary of
VE Day.
VE Day. So that's why I had to leave, and I called Aiden. I'm coming back very soon. I will see you again, but sometime I will come and record your story. And that's the year after.
It was almost a year later.
Yeah, almost a year later, I say, Jenny, you cannot believe it. I've had so many guys to record in your area. That would be nice to catch up and stuff. You know what? I had only one veteran. So I came back to Bedford, Virginia, in the middle of nowhere to meet Aiden, of course, but to see Jenny. And what happened next?
It was Easter. And so my family, we decided to do something crazy and invite Flo for Easter.
The deepest regret of your father.
My deepest regret of my father.
And
My
they
poor
made
father.
him sleep in the driveway in his camper.
First of all,
Well, first we asked where he was staying, and we all felt bad. We're like, he's staying in Walmart parking lots. He's doing something really great for our country. The least we can do is give him a shower, a hot meal. And the first night he had to stay in the driveway to make sure he wouldn't take the silver. And then the next night, he was allowed to stay in the house.
I think you had a good feeling with your family.
Yes. It was like
your father as well. I think he can read people very well.
Yeah.
He saw that I was super nice, amazing. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, but
he could read that I was not like a bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, because like right away, it was like you were part of the family.
Yeah.
Although he did warn me about you like 3 days later to be careful.
Yeah. He knew about it. But yeah.
That was 2007? 16.
And afterward, like if you want, we can go with the love story, because that was hard. I was living in France. She was living in the United States. And that was, I mean, let's be honest. Can we talk about things? I think people would like to know the true story,
Go ahead.
Don't worry. So we started to realize that was very hard on us. We were texting and stuff, and we were like, let's try to stop that, because it won't go anywhere.
We were texting every day.
Yeah. And she started to be like, it's too hard, and she stopped, and I was like, okay. So we stopped. I was very sad, as you can imagine. She was too, but I didn't know. And in 2017, in May of 2017, I had a car accident. And the first thing I thought about, because I was broken, I had broken bones and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to send a picture of my car, and she likes me. She's just going to text me and say, "Are you okay?" That's the only thing I was thinking about. My car was just crushed on the side of the road. There were fire truck. There were everybody, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, I was bleeding a little bit. I had broken bones, and they put me in the fire truck, and I was just smiling. I'm like, I'm going to put a picture on Facebook, and I'll see if she sent me a text. And she sent me a text. And after that, when she was like, "Flo, are you okay?" And I was just like pretending, I won't answer. I haven't seen it, but I was like, yeah. She's texting me back. And afterward, we didn't stop talking because she thought something serious happened. So she was sad and she cried and stuff.
I was worried. I was worried.
So, yeah. So that's the love story. If you get a car accident, if you text, if the lady texts you, it's that she cares.
It's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they then did continue this long distance love story. And when I had met them, they were still texting all the time and calling all the time and, Facebook, video chatting all the time.
Yeah.
That was through 2018, 17, 18. And then in 2019, right? No, 2018, you got married.
No, 2019.
September 2019.
Last year.
In Iceland. They got
your ring, babe.
Yeah, look at that. That persistence paid off.
So now she can go back to the US.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I can.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so, and now they've created this tour company together. And I think it's just beautiful because Jenny now she's done all the tours at the National D-Day Monument, and now she can help Flo, and it's been pretty sweet. Okay, so now let's go back to Flo about talking to veterans. And you told us the first suggestion that you have for us is to talk to do our research, I think is what you would say. Do
Yes.
your research and know about the veteran and a little bit about his unit before you go into a conversation, right?
Of course. Like, I would say if you have like someone like, you have a World War II veteran in your town. Let's say his name is John Smith. You call John Smith and say, "Hey, this is Mr. Smith. Yeah. I've seen on the newspaper that you're a World War II veteran. Is that correct?" "Yeah, I was in World War II. Can I ask you which unit were you in?" "I was in the 9 Infantry Division in World War II." So, okay, 9 Infantry doesn't ring a bell. Maybe for most of the people, it does for some. But if it doesn't ring a bell, you can ask where did you serve, which country did you serve, in this outfit and stuff. And maybe with the geography, you're going to be able to ask more questions. I would say just ask a couple more questions and write his unit when you arrived in his unit, because sometimes if you're a replacement, the 9th Division was in, Africa, was in Sicily, was in Normandy, Germany, all over the place. So ask him if he's a replacement or if he's an original member. And just that question gonna bring you different answers. And you just write when he was assigned to his unit, which unit, approximately, how long he served, and blah, 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 blah. If he was wounded, if you want to talk about it. And afterward, you do your research, you just go on Google. And most of the time, if you put like 9 Infantry Division history, you're gonna have a lot of information. So you try to maybe print the paper, or you maybe try to, I don't know, remember some area where he fought and some names, and I don't know. And afterward, you just do your job, you do your research. You can print a few pictures as well, because when you print pictures, visually, like if you want to talk about the Yorkton Forest, there were a lot of wood. There were a lot of men that died because of, how do you call that?
Well, it's when the trees splinter.
The tree blast.
Yeah. Tree bursts.
Tree burst, yeah. And so if you show pictures of men, in the wood walking, and just that gonna bring back memories, because visually this is what he experienced, And if he fought during the Battle of the Bulge, you show pictures of men, in the snow, maybe sleeping in the snow and stuff like that. And it might open like some memories, and you can try. But there are a lot of different ways to do research. You can do it very professionally with morning reports, with after action report, and with all those military reports that it's hard to have access. But online are enough. You write 10, 15 basic questions and you go with the flow. And you'll see if he doesn't want to talk about, you'll see if he doesn't want to talk about something, because he's gonna try to change the subject, or he's gonna be like next, or something like that. And if he's opening a door, if he start, for example, to talk about a soldier that he know being killed or wounded, and he's giving you some details, it shows you that he's ready to open up about things that most of the veterans are not very willing to talk about, like the death, brutality, violence, and stuff. Like, don't ask someone like, did you kill any prisoner of war? Who gonna ask you that, answer that question? But maybe if he talks about prisoner being killed, you can ask, did that happen in your unit? It's not that personal. And maybe afterward, he's gonna tell you some stories that he personally witnessed. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes there are some doors that are opening, and you can go through that door. I don't know if it's French. And that it's going to be able to go further. But if you ask a veteran, did you kill someone? Boom, you're building a massive wall between him and you.
Yeah, so, what we say is sometimes you need to go in through the back door.
The back door.
Instead of going through the front door.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I noticed, you were very respectful. You never forced any questions. You really were it was sort of a dance that you did with them.
Yeah.
And one other thing I want to point out, that you did that I learned as an interviewer is you would not rush in to ask this next question.
No.
You would wait. And oftentimes, after they seemed to finish answering your question, if you didn't jump in right away with the next question, they offered more information.
True. And again, you can feel that. I mean, that's something that you need. Don't be afraid of a time off. Don't be afraid that like, oh, I'm such a bad interviewer because there's some silence and nobody's talking. I should ask a question. No, let it go, because sometimes silence talk. You can see that in his eyes, is thinking, and just that on camera is magic when you see a veteran thinking about something. And maybe he gonna jump on something because he's thinking about it and he's gonna talk about it. But as well, sometimes what I'm doing, I'm just asking, what are you thinking about? And sometimes that's the most powerful stories. He's thinking about something, but he was not really ready to talk about. And I remember like Frank Mully, he was with the 20th Armored Division, and he actually, he was in Germany in 1945, and his unit was in Dachau. They were not necessarily the first to go into the camp, but they were in the area. And for like probably 2 minutes, he was thinking, and I just asked him, what are you thinking about? And he just told me all the men that he saw, that were skeletons with, blue and white stripes, pajamas. And that was what he was thinking about. But he was not really thinking to talk about it. So what I'm saying is that no rush. Just, again, go with the flow. Silence is not a bad thing. You can ask a veteran a question. And if you see that he's thinking, let him think. Maybe he's going to start to talk about what he's thinking about. And if he's not talking about it, you can ask him nicely, hey, Frank, what are you thinking about? And maybe he's going to share with you.
Yeah, and I would say the takeaway for any first-time filmmakers listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, this does not just apply to veterans, in my, opinion. This goes for any interview of anyone that you ever want to talk to. These are some things, I've watched a lot of people conduct interviews. Flo has taken this to an incredible science, and it's a relationship that I watched him create. And I watched, it begins with the respect that he has for the person that he's interviewing. Just a humble respect. He's so grateful to be in their presence, that they've given him time. And you can sense that in his gratitude and humility. And then he's done his research before he gets there. And so he's thought about what he can bring, like he said, photos that he can show, new information that he dug up and found that he could ask questions about. So he's well versed in what this man's life or woman's life is. And then he is constantly assessing as he senses what's going on inside the veteran. He's looking at his eyes and he's sensing this feeling. So it's a very emotional thing that Flo is doing with them. He's creating this relationship. And what he knows, and I've watched him do this, he knows he's leading this person down an emotional path that could be very difficult to recall.
Yeah.
And so he's respectful to let him process those emotions that he's feeling. And just like he said, silence on camera is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so those lessons apply no matter what interview you're doing, whether it's a veteran or someone else.
But yeah, absolutely. But again, talking about respect, the first thing you can do, and it's very basics, is if you want to respect him and you want to show him that respect, just read a little bit about his story. If he's telling you his unit 3 days before, you have no excuse. Oh, I didn't have time. Yes, you always have time to have a beer in a pub or to do something else, to go jogging, but you don't have time to read for 30 minutes online things about his unit. If you just go into the house and basic stuff about his unit, it's good. I'm watching a lot of videos online, Library of Congress and on YouTube, and some of the interview are fantastic because you can see that the guys did the research. And some veterans like CO Bauer, you don't need to do research because they are open to talk about it. But some veterans, I remember we've met a veteran in Wisconsin, Michigan. He was on Okinawa, and he recently opened up. His answer were very brief, but I knew about the first Marine Division where they went. And so I asked him some specific question, and he was able to open up a little bit. But if I was just asking him, okay, so where did you go on Okinawa? I mean, we would have nothing. You remember?
But the thing that I think is, really important, even with CO Bauer is in our film. He's one of the veterans that he has a powerful story in there, and he is willing to talk. But the difference with you, Flo, is because you have extra information and you have done your research, we got into a deeper place with CO than most people who would just ask him the facts. You can Google CO Bauer or the Ironman of Metz, and you can get the general facts. And if you just come with those general facts, yes, he's going to tell you those general facts, but you get beyond that. And I think that's what I've seen in the interviews that you do. Any film, the power is in the people opening up and sharing stuff they don't normally share. It's not just, it's not just informational. And so
you make connection. I'm just going to say one thing today because I had a very moving day for myself. I was touring with 7 kids, and they're all from Africa. They're migrants, okay? And they were with 2 adults that were showing them Normandy, and they hired me to tell them stories. And that was very moving because I knew where they were coming from. Some were from Tunisia, Mali, Guinea. One was from India, and they all had like some very difficult stories to tell. And I knew about it, so that's why we were talking about. A lot of those guys crossed the Mediterranean Sea on boats, small boats, for days and days and days, and I knew about it. So that's why I made that connection to talk about D-Day and the crossing of the Channel, about some young man who never been in France, he couldn't speak the language, blah, 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 blah. And after what, we were at Pontiac, I talked about the Rangers, their difficult experience, and I just talked about the fact that the men were in the landing craft for a few hours before they, get out of the landing craft to climb the cliff. And when we were done with that, his name is Hamed, and he came to me and he said, Flo, I spent 13 days on a small boat. And I was like, he just came to me and he wanted to talk about it. I'm like, wow, 13 days? And I was like, were you by yourself? And we're like, yeah, no family. I was 14. And he was trying to escape from Egypt, and he left from Egypt, went on a small boat, and 13 days. And I'm like, did you have food? Like, I was eating once per day, just a little bit of rice and stuff like that. And it was just telling me that story. And I felt, wow, it's like I'm talking with a veteran, but of a different type of war, different context, different country. But I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's just by creating that connection with the crossing of the Channel and the fact that the man spent a few hours on the boat after, on the landing craft, going to the beach, he was able to open up about it. And I was super moved. I felt this kid is 17 today, and he went through much more than any people I know here in France. And that was just a moving story. And we started to talk a little bit with Hamed. I was asking him some question. And it's like I was interviewing him on a different level, but I didn't try to say, hey, did you see anyone drowning? Did you what? Drowning or stuff like that. I didn't ask those stupid questions because he would afterward, he would just, I would say, close. Yeah. Just asking questions about the food, about the sleep. He didn't, for 13 days, he was on the small boat. No bed, no nothing. They were just packed like that for 13 days. Almost run a few times because the boat, the waves, and just crazy. But anyway, I'm out of the subject, but I'm just saying that other people are suffering, are struggling today.
Well, and what you're talking about is the compassion and the connectivity and really trying to make a relationship when you're talking with someone. And
yeah,
that's
definitely.
Key takeaway in interviewing for filmmakers. Real quick, we do need to wrap up, but I think you've got some exciting film projects of your own you're working over there right now. Tell us quickly a little bit about
You want to talk about it?
No,
just talk about it.
I'm going to let you talk.
Okay, she's shy.
I'm afraid to say anything wrong.
I will correct you. No, I'm just kidding. So you heard about A Company of the 116. I told you about the Bedford Boys, but it's about, it's less than, I would say it's about 15% of the company, A Company of the 116. And that company lost, more than 90% of their men on D-Day. And maybe you're going to agree with me, Christian, but have you ever heard about anyone else in A Company except the Bedford
Boys?
We're kind of forgetting the other ones. And so with my friend Joey Van Messen, Snafu Podcast, and Orient Ziad from the Pain Show. It's French name, Pain Show. It's a play on word. But anyway, the three of us are producing with Jenny. She's really helping me, so that's why I'm going to say the four of us are producing a documentary about the men from A Company of the 116 that landed on Dog Green Sector on Omaha Beach. And we're talking about the action, what they did, and the context of the landing and what they went through, but we're really zooming on the individuals. And we're as well zooming on who are the men from C Company of the 2nd Ranger Battalion who landed on their right on D-Day and helped to capture Double 73 and helped to open the D1 exit, which was one of the objectives, of the 116 is to take D1 exit. But anyway, it's been very moving because we did a lot of research about all those individuals that died on D-Day, and some of them are going to die later on during the Battle of Normandy or somewhere else in Europe. And we're producing a short documentary to pay respect to those guys. So it's going to be more about the individuals, who they were, where they were coming from, and what happened to them on Omaha Beach, if they survived or not. And it's a big zoom. We always talk about Omaha Beach, the number of casualties, it's the big picture, but we're really zooming on A Company of the 116, C Company of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and I'm talking a lot, I know. And we're really trying to make something new, because a lot of people say, another documentary about Omaha Beach. Yeah, but it's going to be something absolutely new. Well, it's going to be just great.
Yeah, I'm sure with you, your thought behind it, it will be, Flo is famous for saying, I care about the story behind and packing more than just what you see on the surface.
Just a quick question, guys, just for you. Saving Private Ryan is based on it, okay? Okay, it's, C Company of the 2nd Ranger, the men are Tom Hanks and blah, blah. They're C Company 2nd Ranger. All the men that you see dying are part of the 116. Do you know the real name that Tom Hanks is portraying in the movie that we all know?
Nope. No idea.
Who was the real man? That was the captain of that specific company. One of the most famous actor is playing someone, but we don't know who he is. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I didn't know that his name either a year ago. And his name is Captain Gorson. And he was just 24, 25 years old. And he was leading a company of Rangers on D-Day. Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks, kind of represent that man. He's portraying that guy new. And we have his picture. We know what he did. We have some reports. It's just going to be amazing to brought to the light. Do you say that?
Bring to light.
Bring to light those individuals that did some crazy stuff that we don't know about. But anyway.
Thank you. Okay, so real quick, tell us where people can find what you are doing on social media. Where can they engage with you, Flo?
Okay, so there are different things I'm going to show you so you have a visual, but we're very active on Instagram. It's www.veteransmemories.com. I don't know if you can see it. I guess can you?
Yes, WW2 Veterans Memories is your Instagram.
That's the Instagram and the Facebook, and you're gonna be jealous. I'm just kidding. We put a picture, and we have like over 20,000 likes just on one picture. But anyway, I'm just kidding. That's the Facebook page.
Yes, World War II Veterans Memories. That's Flo's Facebook page. And he's always putting up very interesting content. He's thought very much about what people want to hear, what is interesting for them. So following him on Instagram and Facebook is what to do.
And we have the website. We have the website if you want to come and and book a tour with us. And so you can hear me all day long talking and talking and talking.
Yes, World War II Veteransmemories.org. And I will tell you, Flo is by far the best tour guide I have ever hired anywhere. And I've sent friends to him, and they have been incredibly pleased. So if you're listening to this, you want to go to Normandy, Flo and Jenny are your people. And
Flo, you need a T-shirt that says, "Go with the flow."
Go with the flow. That's true. And
then Jenny needs a T-shirt that says, "I went with the flow."
And I stopped.
That is absolutely true. Hey, Josh and Jason, do you have any quick questions or thoughts?
I have a ton. I think we need to have a part 2.
I agree with you. We need to have a part 2. Jason?
No, I think a part 2 is a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk more.
That's great. We'll have you back on. Maybe our listeners can send us some questions for you. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, thank you so much for being here with us. It's great to see you guys, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you for the opportunity, and it was nice to see all Jason, Josh, Christian.
Yeah,
it's
so
always
we're
nice
going
to
to say
see you.
Josh.
I was just going to say thank you, Flo and Jenny. And, as always, I'm going to wrap up thanking our listeners for listening to Documentary First, where we believe everyone has a story to tell, and you can be the one to tell it.
Bye, everybody.